Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop. Nielson and Huss back with you once again. We'll get to the NHL, get to some puck picks tonight in the National Hockey League, and take a look ahead to the where the lines are at right now in the National Football League as well, heading into next weekend. As always, The Lock Shop brought to you by our wonderful partners at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today and make sure if you're with The Lock Shop, all the picks we give you, you can find at coolbet.com. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you sign up. Huss, your guy came through for you last night, buddy. That was clutch.
It sure was. A clutch, momentum-killing pick from Tom Brady to get the over half a pick. And to be honest, Dusty, with the way that game went, that was it's hard to say that wasn't the turning point in the game.
Yeah, I know it was early, but I think I agree with you.
I mean, from that point on, the Dallas Cowboys stomped them for the remainder of the first half. And if it wasn't for the worst kicking performance in playoff history by Brett Maher, this one might have even been over earlier. By the way, and I tweeted this out in the group chat at halftime, but you knew damn well that game was going to go under because of the extra points. And sure enough, dollars to donuts finished up at 45.
Just a killer. I mean, Mike's already on the YouTube chat. He goes, missing that over last night by 0.5 really sucked. And that did suck. I mean, that was, you never seen anything that bad from a kicker in a playoff game. That was embarrassing.
Were you watching Joe Buck or were you watching the Mannings?
I was flipping back and forth. I did take the Mannings clip today and run with it on my show this morning when they're both just like, Eli's like, I've never seen anything like this before. And Peyton's like, why are you kicking? It's just a mess.
Yeah, I watched most of the game on the Manning cast, and all of a sudden, first of all, ESPN did a terrible job. I mean, the only thing everyone was wondering was whether this guy was going to kick the damn field goal, and they kick the convert, and they basically missed him setting up, and at least they did on the Manning cast side of things. But Peyton got up out of his chair. They had to switch to another camera to see him standing up, basically yelling at the television like half of North America was last night. Listen, we could spend some time pouring, dirt on Brady's grave. I don't think for a second he's done. I'm sure he'll play again next year.
He'll pop up somewhere.
That's a waste of time. But credit where credit is due. Huge game for Dak Prescott. If you are a Cowboys fan, you must be feeling about 100 times better about the team, about your quarterback after last night, considering how iffy he looked in Week 18 and at times throughout the season. That was a legit elite playoff performance by Dak Prescott. And tell you what, I think that is going to keep the number low for the game against the Niners. I was amazed. I had set this myself in my head at about San Francisco -6.
Yeah.
It was 4.5 last night, and I've seen a 3.5 up at Coolbet right now. So, listen, the Cowboys are always a very public team, and you probably get an extra point or 1.5 betting against them just because of that. But I'll tell you what, there is a lot of momentum. Recency bias is real. The last thing everyone will remember going into the weekend is what the Cowboys did. And hey, credit to them for coming up with a massive, massive game. But I don't know about you. I mean, I know all the people betting on Brady and the Bucs was just because it's Tom Brady. It's the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a damn thing that team showed in the regular season that backed up having any confidence in them. And guess what we saw last night? The exact same team that struggled to an 8-9 record in the worst division in the NFC. I don't think anyone should be surprised, but credit to the Dallas Cowboys for getting it done. They have been known as the Toronto Maple Leafs of the NFL, where no matter what happens, they lose in the playoffs. They didn't last night. They lived to see another day.
Yeah, the Bucs looked like an 8-9 team that squeaked out some games against non-playoff teams, and Tom Brady looked like a 45-year-old man. Like that's how that game should have gone last night, with the way that the Bucs The Bucs didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. They made the playoffs because their division sucked this year. It's as simple as that. That was full on display last night. Hopefully you're on the Cowboys -2.5 with us here at the Lock Shop. Dak Prescott, that game last night, I didn't know he had that in him in a playoff game. Now, it was against, in my opinion, a non-playoff team. He got it done. Different beast here against the Niners, and it'll be on short rest for the Cowboys. They're going to be on the road for the fourth time or fifth time in their last 6 weeks, which isn't ideal. And obviously going up against the Niners team that has won 11 in a row. That line, I was with you. I mean, I was thinking of probably 5.5, 6. It started at 4.5. Now it's at 3.5. Huss, there's no way this gets to a field goal, is there?
I mean, I don't think so, and I certainly don't think it should. But never underestimate the power of the fan base of the Dallas Cowboys. They are called America's team for a reason. I think there'll be a lot of people lining up to support their guys, all fired up about the money that they won on Monday night when they beat Brady. So we'll have to see. Right now, it's the shortest and predicted to be the closest game on the board. But just a quick update while we're talking about this.
Yeah, let's dive into these quickly.
I mean, so this is now the late game. And but just one quick thing. As much as I loved Super Wildcard Weekend, I'm not sure how fair it is to have a team play on Monday playing against a team that played on Saturday. I mean, it just,
that's true.
But anyways, I don't know what you do about that other than just put 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. If that was the case, we wouldn't have a game last night. And I certainly enjoyed having a Monday night playoff game. So I guess I'm not playing in the game. I'm just betting on it and watching it. So we'll take it. But Cowboys right now, 3.5-point underdogs in San Francisco, and that is down from 4.5 when it opened. The Bills and the Bengals game is interesting. We talked about this yesterday, looking at that 4.5 number. Now, granted, the difference between 4.5 and 5 is really minimal. That's that dead zone between 4.5 and 5.5, where the line movement doesn't mean as much. But I was stunned yesterday night to get back over to CoolBet and see the number was up to 5.5. It's at 5 right now. Listen, Cincinnati has some major issues on the offensive line. They lost another one. They could be both their tackles and one of their top starting guards. So they will have to, protect Joe Burrow. I mean, listen, without Von Miller, though, Buffalo's pass rush is not what it was earlier.
It hasn't
on
been too hot. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if it just comes down to Joe Burrow's got to get it done, I kind of lean that Joe Burrow gets it done right now. So I think I'm still leaning Bengals right now on that, but it was very interesting to see that number move to 5. And right now, pretty standard, Giants are still 7.5-point underdogs in Philly to take on the Eagles. And the Jags Chiefs line has gone back and forth. It was 8.5 when we did the show yesterday. It was 8. It's now back to 8.5. And that one's going to finish somewhere between 8 and 9, I think, by the time we kick off for the first game on Saturday afternoon.
All right, so there you go. Of course, we'll have a full NFL episode once again on Friday. We're looking to get our hands on the fantasy chain. But a 5-1 start.
Got your hands on that. Well, hey, great
I jinxed it. I touched it.
5-1.
I shouldn't have touched it. I shouldn't have touched it.
5-1. I've got some work to be done. Oh, by the way, just before we move on, all the futures are up right now. And, once that final game was posted, we kind of saw a little bit of movement. But still, the AFC teams are leading the way. The Chiefs are the favorite right now at 3-1. Bills at plus 350. And it is the Niners that are the favorite now, as we talked about yesterday on the Lock Shop. They've emerged as the number 1 team in the NFC by the book, plus 440 to win the whole thing. Eagles plus 525. Bengals 8-1. Dallas 12-1. And not a lot of respect right now for the Giants at 28-1 or the Jags at 33-1 as far as the AFC goes. Plus 140 for the Chiefs, plus 160 for the Bengals, and plus 160 for the Bills, plus 450 for the Bengals, and 14-1 for the Jags. And really almost a dead heat in the NFC. Niners plus 150, Eagles plus 160, Dallas plus 450. Dallas sort of in that Cincinnati spot. And then the Giants, the long shot at 11-1 in the NFC.
All right, so that's the NFL picture. Like I mentioned, Friday, full NFL episode for the weekend. Tomorrow we'll have a golf episode to get you ready for another weekend on the links as well. And we'll mix in some hockey plays and some other stuff as we work our way through the week. But Huss, let's dive into some NHL action tonight. And go ahead, buddy. What do you got? You laid out a couple different options here.
Yeah.
I see the Jets on the card.
I mean, and listen, I'll this. My main play is Florida, Toronto over 6.5. These teams have played some high scoring games before. Florida had a nice win yesterday in Buffalo, scoring 4 times. But I think this is a great opportunity for Toronto. They got Austin Matthews back. These teams are both really good. I think they can score some goals. And I think Toronto, particularly at home, with the advantage of playing against a team on the second end of back-to-backs, will light the lamp a few times. And I think I got a pretty good chance of getting to that over. The Sabres had that disappointing game last night on the wrong end of that loss to the Florida Panthers, but they're into Chicago playing a team that is already in next year mode. The Blackhawks are getting thrashed night in and night out right now. It's very interesting. We'll be talking about this on Winnipeg Sports Talk later on today. Jonathan Taves all but admitting that maybe the writing's on the wall, that his time in Chicago is done and it's time to move on considering where the team is at. But the one thing we know, Buffalo can score, and man, Chicago has a tough time keeping the puck out of their net. I think we see a big bounce back game by the Sabres tonight. So I know you're looking at that regulation number. I'm going to get a little bit greedy and look at that plus 129 on the puck line. So those are my new picks. And listen, I don't normally put the Jets on the card, and I won't even do it officially because I'm always afraid of jinxing my team. But listen, the Jets are rolling right now. They are, for those people maybe out of the market that might not be aware, the number 1 team in the West right now, going into these games against Montreal and Toronto. And this is a huge opportunity for the Jets, I think, to open up some eyes outside of the market of the team that they have become so far this year. And Montreal, not only are they in free fall, doing, I guess, what the organization wants them to and get right to the bottom, but they just put another 3 players on IR this morning, called up a couple guys from the minors, and the Winnipeg Jets, as we've talked about, are finally getting healthy again. And my God, that Dubois, Connor, Ehlers line is rolling. And then on the weekend, it was Scheifele, Wheeler, and Cole Perfetti. So this certainly on paper looks like a bit of a mismatch. I know Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to be particularly excited to play in his hometown, and that certainly gets everybody talking about it. And speaking of Pierre-Luc Dubois, just going to pull up what his goal number is for tonight. Plus 195. If you'd all like those hometown narratives, they're almost getting 2-1 on a guy that has been a monster this season. But I was looking at the Florida-Toronto over. I'm betting that the Sabres won. And then I'm like, man, plus money on the Jets puck line. So I did crank out that plus 820. And if you want to go plus 392 without the over, I think I'll probably go with the over, though, for our pick, the daily pick for Cool Bet today. But I will be on all of those tonight. And, well, heck, when you got 3 picks you like, sometimes it's fun to throw them in a parlay, especially
you never know.
It's getting you more than 8-1.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it's getting you plus 820, if you really like them, you might as well sprinkle them all together. You laid out the case for Buffalo tonight. You got a minus 1.5. I decided to play Buffalo in regulation and minus 119. And then my other play, Seattle, Edmonton tonight. Seattle played last night. First loss that they've had in quite some time. Kind of came against Tampa. Huss, you called that yesterday, right?
I did.
That was a good one.
I did.
All right. Well done, sir.
Damn, yep. Flames, what, 18 shots in the third period? I read a number of people that were following the Flames that have been. The Flames have been playing really well lately. They said, looks like a team that just spent 2 nights in Nashville. So maybe I should
understandable.
The travel schedule of the team a little bit later on. But yeah, that Tampa win on the road at minus 131 was a nice way to start the week.
So Seattle rolls into Edmonton tonight. The Oilers have won 3 in a row. I think I'm going to go, and I like the value on it. It's at plus 100 right now. For 1.5 power play goals tonight. Oilers power play, deadly. Seattle's penalty kill is actually second worst in the National Hockey League. I think I made the same case when they played earlier in the month because they've played twice in the last 3 weeks. In both of those games, there were more than 1.5 power play goals. So they've already checked this box twice going head-to-head against each other. I like it again. I mean, it's likely Evander Kane's going to be back for Edmonton tonight. There might be a little bit of a bump there. Oilers penalty kill is in the bottom third of the league as well, and we know Seattle's certainly a team that can score some goals. Their power play's like middle of the pack, but I'm going to go Seattle, Edmonton over 1.5 power play goals tonight at plus 100. And if you want to parlay that with Buffalo in regulation tonight, Not a huge number, but it'll get you plus 268. So power play goals. Power play goals in Oilers games is like our field goal prop in the National Football League primetime.
Well, and you know what? And I tailed you on one of those ones last week. I think it was the Kings game, and that one was in 11 minutes into the game. Unfortunately for Oiler fans, they had given up 2 power play goals, but it doesn't matter what net they're going in as long as it's on the man advantage. That will do for this prop.
So there you go. You can hop on that. All those numbers available for you over at CoolBet. And if you've not yet subscribed to the Lock Shop YouTube channel, make sure you do that now. I've still got it sitting here. You know, I'm going to do a couple more promos on Twitter, I think. But I still got $1,000 cash just sitting in my desk. So when we get to 1,000 YouTube members, we're going to give away $1,000 to one of our first 1,000 YouTube members. So I'll plug that a little bit more on Twitter. We'll try to bump that number up. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well.
Yeah, Lock Shoppers, tell a friend about where they can find us. And, you know, much like I always tell people to do for WST, it's very simple. It's completely free. Helps us out big time. And hopefully it helps you out too. Maybe seeing a bit more of our content and grab a few winners. So just head on over to the YouTube channel. If you're watching us on Twitter, it's at Lock Shop Bets. We've got links in our profiles as well. And get on over there, hit the red subscribe button. And we're cranking out 5, sometimes 6 times a week, although we'll get down a little bit
slower with football kind of died down. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we have a lot of fun doing it. And hey, just a quick non-betting question, but you mentioned the Oilers and Kane coming back. I was reading a couple stories of where they are with their cap. Like, what exactly do they have to do to get Kane back on the roster? I know Yamamoto's been put on IR retroactive, but that's just the start of the moves, right?
Well, with Yamamoto, so the one article I read yesterday is from Daniel Nugent-Bowman at The Athletic, and there was a bunch of different options. If they could maybe run with a 20-man roster and send 3 non-waiver guys down so you don't have to worry about it. And then before Yamamoto went on LTIR, it was going to have to be, you probably have to waive one of Fogle, Jesse Puljujarvi, or Derek Ryan. But with Yamamoto going on LTIR, they do have enough to fit things in. Ryan Murray will go on LTIR. They just sent Niemelainen down. I think they could waive Shore if they had to. So there's some ways to it if Yamamoto's on LTIR, and it looks like he will be until February 12th. And then they'll have to make a decision or continue to bump things down the line. Maybe they have rotating LTIR spots and full-blown Tampa Bay Lightning this thing until they get to the playoffs and then have their full roster. I don't know.
You know what? It's sloppy. So funny comparing that situation in Edmonton to what's going on in Winnipeg this year because of kind of a quiet trade at the end of the year last year. Nathan Smith, a Jet draft pick, having a monster season in the NCAA and said, listen, he was going to have the opportunity to sign as a free agent. He wasn't going to sign. So they traded him to the Coyotes, I think for a 3rd-round pick, but with Brian Little's contract. And listen, Brian Little, we love him here in Winnipeg, but he wasn't going to play again. And that got the Jets out of the LTIR mess. And then even this season, with the fact that they were losing Ehlers and Wheeler and Perfetti and Nate Schmidt all at the same time, they never had to go into LTIR. So they've been building cap space all season long. And it's sort of an under-discussed, under-reported part of it. And listen, I myself, a lot of people were wondering, hey, when are we going to use this cap space? Well, the team's in first place right now, and they have that luxury that a lot of teams don't have right now. And it's going to make the Jets that much more interesting as we get closer to the trade deadline, assuming they keep playing and hanging out in that lofty spot in the division that they're in.
Let's wrap up with a couple comments from the YouTube chat. The Gitch says... Gitch says, does Kane have his bankruptcy issue sorted out? And then 902 Dynasty replied and said, since Kane subscribed to the Lock Shop, he's officially out of bankruptcy. So, hey, what can I say? When you deliver 57 and 60% on your NFL picks, it's usually a pretty profitable year. So,
well, hell, I mean, you were what, 87%? I mean, 5-1 against the number.
5-1 and 12-1 in playoffs last year, buddy. I have been on a playoff heater in the Lock Shop so far. Yeah.
That is as good as it gets. I don't know if you'll find anyone that ran the table last season, but big weekend coming up. The best weekend of football all year long for my money. The 4 divisional games, 2 on Saturday, starting with the Chiefs and Jags, ending Sunday with the Niners and Cowboys. It is going to be great. And just before we go, bonus pick time for the Lock Shop.
What do you got?
I do have a selection from the Australian Open. I'm not sure if any of you got on those cool bet exclusives, but it was nice. We had a nice little juicy number on a Canadian to win on either the women's or the men's side of things. But our guy Felix Auger-Aliassime playing against Alex Molcan later on today. Listen, Felix is a huge favorite, minus 833, as you would expect. Molcan's been a qualifier, couple tournaments, the Slovakian, not even in the top 50. I'm going with Felix in straight sets, minus 125. You got to click on that and look at some of the other options. It's not immediately there, but let's see if Felix can get off to a great start, conserve a little energy, get off the court quickly in 3 sets. That's minus 125 at cool bet as well.
Golf tomorrow. That'll be the Wednesday episode. We'll have some NHL action for you as well, and a huge NFL episode coming your way on Friday. Huss, best of luck with that tennis play, and we'll talk tomorrow, buddy.
Thanks, dude.